the most dangerous trails for adventurers in the U.S. Since the year 2000, at least 13 hikers have fallen to their deaths on a single, astonishingly narrow stretch of trail. For some, a statistic like that is a warning to stay far, far away. For others, it's a siren song. In this video, we're counting down the most dangerous paths where one wrong step could be your last. We'll journey from the sun-scorched canyons of Utah to the weather-battered peaks of New England, exploring the specific hazards that make these trails so deadly. Let's see what awaits on these perilous journeys. There are places in this country, carved by wind, water, and time, that just call to a certain kind of person. They're places of profound beauty and even more profound risk. These aren't just paths. They're tests of will, of preparation, and of respect for the raw power of nature. For adventurers looking for the ultimate challenge, the United States is home to some of the most beautiful and treacherous trails in the world. These are the lines on the map where the stakes are highest, where the reward is a view earned with sweat and courage, and where a mistake can cost you everything. Section 1. Angel's Landing, Zion National Park, Utah. Our journey into hiking's most formidable challenges begins in the majestic landscapes of Zion National Park, Utah. Here, a fin of rock, sculpted over millennia, rises 1,500 feet from the canyon floor. Its name is Angel's Landing, and it's arguably one of the most famous and infamous hikes in the entire world. The trail to its summit is a relatively short 5-mile round trip, but don't let the distance fool you. This trail packs more heart-stopping exposure and psychological challenge into its final half-mile than most trails do in their entirety. The allure of Angel's Landing is undeniable. After a grueling series of switchbacks known as Walter's Wiggles, hikers arrive at Scout Lookout. For many, this is the end of the line, offering spectacular views in its own right. But for the true thrill seeker, the journey has just begun. Beyond this point lies the legendary Spine, a knife-edge ridge that in some places is only a few feet wide. On either side, the earth falls away into a dizzying abyss of 1,000 feet or more. To navigate this final, harrowing ascent, the National Park Service has installed a series of heavy chains bolted directly into the rock. Hikers must cling to these chains, pulling themselves up and over the exposed rock face, often with a sheer drop just inches from their boots. The view from the top is a panoramic masterpiece, a 360-degree vista of Zion Canyon in all its glory. It's a perch so sublime, an early explorer once remarked that only an angel could land on it. But this heavenly view comes with a hellish risk. The primary danger on Angel's Landing is as simple as it is terrifying: falling. As of early 2025, there have been at least 18 confirmed deaths on the trail, the vast majority from falls. The exposure is relentless, and for those with even a mild fear of heights, the experience can be paralyzing. The rock can be slick with sand or, in colder months, ice, turning a difficult scramble into a treacherous slide. However, the natural dangers are now compounded by a human one: extreme popularity. The trail became so congested that it created dangerous bottlenecks on the narrowest sections, with people trying to pass each other in both directions while clinging to the same chain. This overcrowding not only increases the psychological stress, but also the physical risk. To combat this, the National Park Service instituted a permit system in 2022. Now, anyone wishing to hike the chain section must secure a permit through a lottery. This has been put in place to manage crowds and enhance safety, but it doesn't eliminate the trail's inherent danger. A permit is an opportunity, not a guarantee of safety. And if you're thinking of skirting the rules, hiking without a permit can result in a fine of up to $5,000 and/or 6 months in jail. Preparing for Angel's Landing requires more than just physical fitness. It demands a clear head. The best advice is to start early to avoid the worst of the heat and crowds. Sturdy hiking boots with excellent grip are non-negotiable. You'll want a backpack to keep your hands free for the chains and at least 2 liters of water, especially in summer. But the most important piece of gear is your own judgment. If you get to Scout Lookout and feel the slightest hesitation, there's no shame in turning back. The views are still magnificent, and you'll live to hike another day. Section 2. Devil's Path, Catskill Mountains, New York. Next up, we head east to the ancient, rolling mountains of New York State. Tucked away in the Catskills is a trail with a name that says it all, the Devil's Path. Don't be fooled by the lower elevation compared to the giants of the West. This trail is widely considered one of the most difficult and punishing hikes on the entire East Coast. It's not a place of singular, dramatic hazards like the sheer drops of Angel's Landing. Instead, the Devil's Path offers a different kind of danger, a relentless, soul-crushing grind that wears down even the most seasoned hikers. The trail stretches for about 24 to 26 miles, traversing over 5 of the Catskill high peaks. What makes it so diabolical is its structure. The path doesn't follow the ridges. Instead, it plunges from each summit down into deep notches or cloves, only to climb right back up the other side. This creates a brutal sawtooth profile with a cumulative elevation gain of over 9,000 feet. The terrain itself is a treacherous collection of vertical rock scrambles, slippery roots, and slick, moss-covered ledges. There are sections so steep they feel more like rock climbing than hiking, with names like the Chimney that require you to wedge your body into a fissure and haul yourself up. The allure of the Devil's Path lies in its raw, untamed character. For East Coast adventurers, it's a proving ground. Completing it in a single day is a badge of honor among the ultra-running and peak-bagging communities. The forests are deep and primordial. The views from the summits are sweeping panoramas of the Hudson Valley, and the sense of accomplishment upon finishing is immense. It's a trail that demands everything you have and gives back a profound sense of strength. The dangers here are insidious. The most common risk isn't a single, catastrophic event, but exhaustion from 1,000 cuts. The constant, brutal ascents and descents lead to extreme fatigue, which is when mistakes happen. A simple trip on a route or a slip on wet rock can result in a serious fall. Rescues are frequent, often for hikers who are inadequately prepared for the trail's difficulty and become exhausted, dehydrated, or hypothermic. In January 2019, for instance, 2 hikers from Rockland County had to be rescued after becoming cold and fatigued, having underestimated the 5 miles back to their vehicle. Fatalities, while not as frequent as on other trails on this list, are a grim reality, often due to falls or health emergencies brought on by the extreme exertion. The very remoteness of the trail adds to the risk. Cell service is spotty at best, making a call for help difficult in many sections. Preparation for the Devil's Path is paramount. This is not a trail for beginners. Hikers should have extensive experience with difficult, mountainous terrain and be in exceptional physical condition. You must carry a map, a compass, and know how to use them. More than anything, you need to pack for a full day of hardship. This means plenty of water and food, a robust first aid kit, a headlamp with extra batteries, and layers of clothing for the Catskills' notoriously fickle weather. Hiking with a partner is strongly advised. The Devil's Path lives up to its name. It will test your limits and punish the unprepared. Section 3. Mount Washington, New Hampshire. Our journey now takes us to the White Mountains of New Hampshire, to a peak that, despite its modest height of 6,288 feet, has earned a fearsome title, home of the world's worst weather. This is Mount Washington, a mountain that ranks among the deadliest in the United States, not for its technical difficulty, but for its utterly vicious and unpredictable climate. While 17 states have taller summits, Mount Washington is one of the deadliest mountains in the country. The list of those who have perished on its slopes is long and sobering, with over 160 names recorded since 1849. The primary killer here isn't falling from a cliff, it's hypothermia, which can strike with shocking speed, even in the middle of summer. The allure of Mount Washington is its accessibility and its dramatic alpine environment. It's the tallest peak in the Northeast, and on a clear day, the views can stretch for 100 miles. The Presidential Range, of which Washington is the crown jewel, offers a stunning, above-tree-line experience that is rare in the eastern U.S. A famous sign near the summit warns hikers, the area ahead has the worst weather in America. Many have died there from exposure, even in the summer. Turn back now if the weather is bad. For many, this sign isn't a deterrent, but part of the mountain's legendary appeal. The danger of Mount Washington is rooted in its unique geography. It stands at the confluence of three major storm tracks, and its topography funnels and accelerates wind to incredible speeds. On April 12, 1934, the Mount Washington Observatory on the summit recorded a wind gust of 231 miles per hour, a world record for surface wind speed not associated with a cyclone that stood for decades. Even on a calm day, winds can easily exceed 40 miles per hour, with gusts over 100 miles per hour being common. This wind creates a wind chill that can make a pleasant 50-degree day at the base feel like a life-threatening, below-freezing blizzard at the summit. The weather can change in minutes. Sunny skies can give way to dense fog, driving rain, or blinding snow with zero visibility. Just this past June 2025, a 55-year-old hiker from Texas, caught in 20-degree temperatures and 120 miles per hour winds, became so hypothermic she was unable to move or communicate before being rescued. This is a place where more people have died from exposure in the summer than in the winter, a chilling statistic that underscores the mountain's deceptive nature. To hike Mount Washington safely, you must abandon any assumptions based on the weather at the trailhead. Preparation is a matter of life and death. You must check the higher summit's forecast from the Mount Washington Observatory before you even think about setting foot on the trail. Your pack must contain gear for full winter conditions, regardless of the season. This means a waterproof jacket and pants, multiple insulating layers, no cotton, a winter hat, gloves, and sturdy, waterproof boots. You need extra food, a headlamp, and navigation tools. And most importantly, you must be willing to turn back. Pride has killed many people on this mountain. Don't let it kill you. Section 4. The Maze, Canyonlands National Park, Utah. Our next destination takes us back to Utah, but to a place far removed from the orderly crowds of Zion. We're entering the least accessible district in Canyonlands National Park, a place so remote and disorienting that it's simply called the Maze. This isn't a single trail, but a labyrinth of deep, twisting, and indistinguishable canyons described as a 30-square-mile puzzle in sandstone. Getting lost here isn't just a risk, it's a near certainty for the unprepared. The allure of the maze is its profound isolation and stark, otherworldly beauty. This is one of the most remote corners of the lower 48 states. Just getting to the trailhead requires a high clearance, four-wheel drive vehicle, and expert driving skills. The reward is a solitude that's almost impossible to find anywhere else. The canyons are a kaleidoscope of red and white rock, adorned with ancient pictographs. For adventurers seeking to truly disconnect and test their self-sufficiency, the maze is an unparalleled experience where the silence is broken only by the wind. The dangers here are as numerous as they are severe. The primary threat is navigational failure. The canyons all look alike, creating a bewildering landscape where every turn can lead you deeper into trouble. GPS can be unreliable deep within the narrow canyons, making a map, compass, and the skills to use them absolutely essential. Many trails are just faint routes marked by occasional rock piles that are easy to miss. Getting lost here means a desperate race against your dwindling water supply. This leads to the second major danger, dehydration. Summer temperatures regularly soar above 100 degrees Fahrenheit. There are very few reliable water sources. You must carry all the water you will need, which is at least 1 gallon per person per day. Running out of water here can be a death sentence. The sheer remoteness is a hazard in itself. Rescues are incredibly difficult and time-consuming. In a harrowing incident, a father and son died in what was ruled a double suicide. Their argument over carrying equipment and water overheard by other hikers just before the tragic end, illustrating the intense psychological pressure the landscape can exert. Because of the isolation, visitors are advised that trips should last a minimum of 3 days. You have to be completely self-reliant. A 64-year-old solo hiker who fell and broke his leg was forced to crawl for 4 days before being miraculously found by rangers. Attempting a trip into the maze requires meticulous planning. You need a permit for overnight stays, a detailed itinerary left with someone reliable, and an expert understanding of desert navigation. A personal locator beacon is highly recommended. As the National Park Service warns, visitors must have a high degree of self-sufficiency. If you are not prepared to save yourself, do not enter the maze. Section 5. Muir Snowfield, Mount Rainier, Washington. We now travel to the Pacific Northwest, to a mountain that dominates the Washington state skyline. Mount Rainier is an active stratovolcano, a colossal icon of ice and rock standing at 14,411 feet. While a full summit attempt is a serious mountaineering endeavor, many hikers try for the high-altitude base camp at 10,188 feet called Camp Muir. The route takes them across the vast and deceptively dangerous Muir Snowfield. This isn't a simple walk in the snow. It's a journey into a high alpine world where the weather can turn deadly in an instant. The allure of Camp Muir is the chance to experience a major glaciated peak without full-on mountaineering skills. The hike begins at the Paradise Visitor Center at 5,400 feet and ascends nearly 4,700 feet over 5 miles. The views are breathtaking, evolving from wildflower meadows to the stark, white expanse of the snowfield. Reaching Camp Muir feels like entering another world. You're surrounded by the immense scale of the mountain, with glaciers carving their way down the slopes and the summit of Rainier looming above. However, the dangers are tragically underestimated. While Mount Rainier as a whole has seen over 400 deaths, the Muir Snowfield is a major contributor to that grim statistic. The primary threat is the weather, which can change with terrifying speed. A clear day can dissolve into a complete whiteout in minutes, with visibility dropping to zero. In these conditions, the snowfield becomes a featureless, disorienting void where it's impossible to tell up from down. Many hikers, lulled into a false sense of security by a good forecast, venture onto the snowfield unprepared. When the weather turns, they get lost. A wrong turn can lead you off the relatively safe snowfield and onto the heavily crevassed Paradise or Cowlitz glaciers. A fall into a crevasse is often fatal. In September 2020, 2 hikers descending from Camp Muir were caught in a whiteout. One hiker, a 27-year-old man, became disoriented and then unresponsive. He was later found deceased. In May 2024, a 38-year-old skier was found at the base of a 200-foot cliff after she failed to return from a tour above Paradise. To safely travel to Camp Muir, you must treat it as a serious mountaineering objective. This starts with the right gear, waterproof and windproof layers, insulating mid-layers, sturdy waterproof boots, and glacier goggles to prevent snow blindness. You must carry the 10 essentials, including navigation tools like a map, compass, and GPS, and know how to use them. Don't just follow footprints in the snow. They can lead you astray. If the weather looks even remotely threatening, turn back. The Muir Snowfield is a beautiful but unforgiving environment. It demands respect, preparation, and the humility to know when the mountain is telling you to go home. These trails represent the pinnacle of adventure, but also the ultimate test of judgment. Have you hiked any of these formidable paths? Or is there another dangerous trail you think belongs on this list? Let us know in the comments below. We read every single one, and your stories help our community of adventurers stay informed and safe. And if you find this content valuable, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel. It helps us continue bringing you stories from the world's most incredible and challenging places. From the knife-edge ridges of Utah to the brutal climbs of the Catskills and the weather-beaten summits of New England, the most dangerous trails in the United States offer a powerful paradox. They are places of immense beauty that harbor immense risk. They call to the adventurer in all of us, promising unparalleled views and an unmatched sense of accomplishment. But as we've seen, the price of admission can be tragically high. The stories of those who have perished on these paths are solemn reminders that nature is impartial. It doesn't care about your experience level, your fitness, or your ambition. It rewards preparation and punishes complacency. So, carry these lessons with you. Respect the environment, know your limits, pack the right gear, and most importantly, never be afraid to turn back. The mountain will always be there tomorrow. The goal of any great adventure is not just to reach the summit, but to return safely to share the tale. Stay safe out there.